Hey everyone, happy Wednesday. I'm Alex and I'll be covering this week's Wednesday widget. Today I'll be making a gauge that allows us to check parallelism between the diamond pins on the bottom of the fixed side of our mod vise and the front face which holds the parallel. As far as parts, we'll be machining a base, a modular plate to hold different styles of our fixed side mod vise in case we ever change our design, a clamping bracket, and 2 clamps to hold our dial indicators on. Welcome to another Wednesday widget. Now, in order for this to work, we have to take a mod vise that we know is parallel, either because we checked it with our fixture plate and an indicator, or we manually inspected it in QC, and then we can take that and use it as a reference for all our other mod vises. So we put the mod vise in that we know is good, we zero out both these indicators, and then we can take it out and put any other mod vise in that we want to check and make sure it's parallel along with the one that we know is good. Now if you look at the bottom side of our fixed side of the mod vise, you'll see 2 diamond pins, and these correspond with 2 holes in our fixture plate so that they can slot into place, and then the adjustable side is what slides up to your part and holds it against the fixed side. Now the distance between the center of these diamond pins and the plane across the front side of the mod vise isn't critical at all whatsoever. It could be 3 inches and it wouldn't make a difference, but what is critical is that the distance between the 2 centers and the front plane is the same on each pin. If not, the vise isn't going to sit square in your machine, and therefore your parts aren't going to get cut square. The design for this gauge went through 3 major iterations. The first one was a concept only, and we didn't model it up, but we wanted to place the vise onto a sliding rack that would slide up against the 2 dial indicators to be measured. We scrapped that and we moved on to something somewhat more similar to what we have now, which was a lead screw that would be turned by a lever and move the 2 indicators back so we could just drop in the mod vise and check this tolerance. But once I had that prototyped, we realized that we didn't even need to pull the dial indicators back, and we could actually just drop the mod vise right in. And because simpler is almost always better with these kinds of things, that's the design we went with, and that's what we're about to make. Let's get right into op 1 of the base. We're going to indicate our part in, and then start with a super fly to face off the part, running it at 10 thou depth of cut, 40 inches a minute, and 2500 RPM. Next up, we're going to take care of roughing with the shear hog, running it at 5140 RPM, 75 inches a minute, 0.15 depth of cut and width of cut. One more adaptive with tool 31, our 1/4 inch flat and mill, running that at 5140 RPM, 2 thou feed per tooth, a 1/4 inch depth of cut, and 50 thou width of cut. Right about here, you'll start seeing a little burr on the outer edge of that hole, and eventually you'll just see some chip welding starting to form inside the tool. And what happened here was the coolant wasn't quite right. I wasn't getting good chip evacuation out of that pocket, and I had walked away from the machine for a minute or 2 to grab the rest of the parts because I wanted to make sure everything would fit in the base and I didn't need to adjust any tolerances. So when I walked away, that happened. I came back, stopped the machine, cleaned the tool up a little bit, and ran it again, and everything was good to go. Quick finishing pass around the part. And now we're using the same tool 31 to cut 2 slots out in the back, and this will allow us to slide the indicators back and forth ever so slightly. Running this at 5140 RPM, 1 thou feed per tooth, and a 2-degree ramping step down. Now it's time to chamfer, spot, and drill this part, and then we'll be ready for op 2. I'm going to quickly indicate the part in, and then just do a quick face, finish, and chamfer, and then we'll take it over and tap the holes. Onto the clamping bracket, this holds the 2 dial indicators in place and allows us to clamp onto the necks of each indicator to hold them parallel with each other. Once again, first up is the shear hog, running at 10k RPM, 100 inches a minute, and 0.15 width of cut and depth of cut. Now we're going to come in with a 3/16 ball and mill and do a quick adaptive. And normally we would just turn the part sideways to get these curves taken care of. But I went to put a fake knurl on these 2 surfaces that's going to allow it to grip on the surface of the dial indicator a little bit better and just keep it in place. Card here to our video on our shifter knob where we show how to use the parallel toolpath to give you this fake knurled texture. And stay tuned because very soon I'm going to have a video more in depth on surfacing that's also going to walk through this process. Taking care of the finishing with our 1/4 inch end mill. And finally, we'll drill the holes for the mounting into the base and throw a few edge breaks on it. And here you can see up close that nice textured knurl. And after I flip the part, we're going to indicate in for op 2 and then come in with the shear hog using the same recipe as before to take the hat off. Next up, we're going to move on to the mod plate. Starting off with the shear hog, and we'll do our roughing using the same recipes as before. The reason the plate is the way it is right now is because we had a piece of stock that had already been machined for another part, and there was no reason to use a big chunk of aluminum like that when that one will work just fine, and the fact that the corners are missing doesn't affect anything. So we're just going to use that for it. And the reason this isn't part of the base itself is because first of all, it would require a lot less material to do it this way, but also if we ever changed our mod vise, and we actually have, we've moved to a 2-sided mod vise, so we've already reiterated this design. And because we use the mod plate, we didn't have to remachine the entire part, we could just change the mod plate individually. This would also work if the mod plate were to wear out and we needed a new one, we could just machine it like this. It's also worth noting that I machined this in 2 parts. Originally, it was just going to be an aluminum prototype plate to hold the mod vise in it, and we were going to make a final version out of steel later, but we decided that the aluminum would do fine, and we just adjust it slightly to fit drill bushings in instead of making the whole plate out of steel. We want our mod vise to sit as flat as possible on the top of this plate, so I left a little bit of stock to leave on the last op And we're going to come in with the Superfly running at 40 inches a minute and 2500 RPM to give it a face and give us that nice flat surface. And back to our 1/4 inch end mill for the finishing passes. After we put a chamfer on the part, we're going to spot and drill the holes not only for the mounting hardware to the base, but the diamond pins for the mod plate. And after the part is flipped over for op 2, we're going to deck off the extra material with the shear hog using the same recipe as before. And then come in with the Superfly using the same recipe as before as well to face that surface off so it sits flat on our base. Now on to modifying the mod plate so we can fit our drill bushings in. Click here if you'd like to watch the intern decimate a Heimer tip. Back with a brand new Heimer tip, and after indicating this part, we're going to come in with a 1/4 inch end mill, running it at the same recipe as before. And this is going to widen those holes so we can fit our drill bushings in, but also cut 2 slots so we can slide the mod vise along the part without marring up that flat surface we machined earlier. A quick chamfer will finish this part up, and then we can put it on the base and see how it fits. These clamps are a pretty odd shape and they're pretty small, so the easiest way to tackle this is going to be to use tabs. And card here to our video where we use tabs to machine some gears. Let's jump into Fusion to walk through how I set this up. I used 4 main operations to get these parts made. The first is an adaptive to clear out most of the material all the way down to your part. To do this, you'll go to your Geometry tab and then select your machining boundary as the outside of your part profile. And then I gave mine a little bit of an offset just to give my tool some room to move around. Next up, we're going to do a ramp, and this is going to cut most of the way to the bottom of your part, but not quite all the way. Now we're going to cut our tabs out, but we're going to leave them pretty thick for now. So we're just going to do this with a 2D contour, and then you'll go to your Geometry tab and select Tabs. You can set your tab thickness, you can select how many tabs you want, and you can select where exactly your tabs are. Mine are about 50 thou thick, so this will give us a good strong base and let us cut the rest of this shape out. Finally, the trick is to shave your tabs down little by little until they're just a whisper thin. The secret here, though, is to actually come off of your part by about 5/1000ths of an inch. Since our tabs aren't super thick to begin with, we'll have a little lip at the bottom, but it shouldn't make too big a difference here. So we're going to make sure that the contour we select is actually offset 5 thou from the outside of our part. And then we'll select our top height as the height where our tabs start. And our bottom height will be, I picked about 5 thou above. Now this takes some fine tuning and your tool height factors a lot into it. So it takes a little getting used to, and you may have to tweak your numbers a little bit to get the results you want, but you'll see what happened when I did it, and we'll talk about that in just a little bit. Let's get to machining. We're going to clear that material out of the top like we talked about earlier. We're running tool 31 at 2 thou feet per tooth, 10K RPM, and a 1/4 inch depth of cut, and 50 thou width of cut. Moving on to our ramp, I dropped down to a smaller 3/16 flat tool, and we're running this at 10K RPM, 1.5 feet per tooth, and 10% of your tool diameter as your max ramping step down. Here's our first contour, cutting the thicker tabs, and everything runs just fine. Onto that final contour with the tool backed off of our part 5/1000. And if you watch right here, the tabs get too weak and the part sort of flops out of the hole. And this is all going to depend on things like how accurate your tool height is, how heavy your part is, where you place your tabs, how thick your tabs are, how wide your tabs are. And those are all variables you have to play with and take into consideration. So for this, had this been a part that needed a real nice surface finish or had to be perfect, I would have run it again. The part wasn't marked up, it was okay. So I just took a deburring tool to it to get that lip off, and it was good to go. I didn't need to run it again. Originally, our clamp was actually one solid bar, and this didn't quite give us the clamping power we wanted, and I also hit it with a hammer and it bent in half. But these are actually inspired by the pit bulls we use in our Mod Vise. It's the same idea with the inclined plane along the bottom, so as you screw, it tightens more, and that gave us significantly more clamping power than the bar that I had originally designed did. So that's what we went with, and they worked great. We actually did have a Mod Vise that had this problem, and that's what inspired this project and this video. But the idea was that we wanted a fixture that would allow us to test the tolerances on our Mod Vises that anyone would be able to use. They'd be able to walk into the shop, see it, realize that's what goes there. They could just drop it in and check our Mod Vises. We still need to tweak a couple things. We maybe want to change our dial indicators to show more on the faces. But other than that, we think it works great. We think we'll use it a lot. So we hope you enjoyed watching, and we'll see you next Wednesday.